What's good, YouTube? This is Daniel, Veterans with Anxiety here, and we are back with another video today, guys. And check it out, today I'm actually bringing you all another story time episode. I know you guys love these, and this story is gonna be something special because I haven't really talked about this topic, and since I really opened this channel actually, and that topic is exactly how I got clean and the full story of how I did it. Alright guys, so stay tuned, don't click away, watch this freaking video to the very end, and before we get started, don't forget to hit the like button, leave some comments down below, hit that post notification bell, get notified of every single video as soon as they drop, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not yet already. That way, you get to see all these videos, boy. Boy. Alright guys, check it out. This is how I got clean. This storytime episode takes place back in the summer of 2020, alright? And during this time, I was living at my dad's house. This is where I lived for most of my active addiction. And I was going hard, okay? I was using very hard. I was using a lot of dope, 2 grams of heroin per day, a gram of cocaine per day, and a couple of Xanax bars to top it all off. I was waking up in complete withdrawal every single morning. I would use all day long, and crash out that night and wake up the next morning and do it all over again. And it was at this time that I was starting to hit that rock bottom. I was really starting to take a look at the direction, that my life was heading towards. And I knew that it wasn't going anywhere good. I knew my life was literally going down the drain. I decided to make a change because I knew that if I kept on the same path that I was going, I was heading toward a path of no return. My dad and I's relationship at this time was kind of a weird one because he would really just leave me alone. He would just kind of let me be. I'd be in my room, I would use. They pretty much were aware of it, but they had totally given up on me, and they just, like I said, they would just leave me be, and I'd be in that room using. But like I said, I was at my rock bottom. After so many failed attempts at going to detox, after so many times of just AMAing a day after I checked in, I was ready. I was done. I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, and I was finally at that point to where I will do whatever it takes to get off of this. So what did I do? I call up the one and only person that has been there for me every single time I needed them. And that's my mother. I remember about to dial that phone and thinking about what I'm gonna say. I'm nervous as hell, but I knew it was something I needed to do. So I dial up her number and I call her and I explain everything. I dump my heart out and I let her know what the fuck was going on. I remember pretty much telling her over the phone, like, Mom, I promise you from the bottom of my heart, I am done. I am ready to do this. 20 minutes goes by and she's parked outside of my dad's house, ready to pick me up. I remember that drive, getting into her car and going to her house. It was a quiet one, it was a very quiet drive because the situation was not ideal, obviously. There's things going on, nobody's happy at this point, but we're heading down to her house to kind of sort things out. So we get to my mom's apartment, right? And we walk inside. And I remember this so vividly, alright? Like, we get inside and we sit down and we're on the couch. Alright, we're sitting on the couch, we have this long conversation. It was the first time that I had ever really been honest about my addiction to somebody other than another junkie, other than another addict. And I pretty much just laid it all out there on the table, guys. Let her know exactly what I was doing, how much I was using, how much I spent, how much debt I've racked up. I laid it all out. And after talking for a little while and just letting her know about what's going on, we start coming up with a game plan, about how I'm actually going to do this. How are we actually going to pull this off? We then decided that I was first going to try a cold turkey withdrawal, a cold turkey detox right there at my mom's house. So we start making a shopping list of all of the things that I'm going to require to really get through this, you know, to successfully get through this cold turkey detox. We're talking food items, things that are easy to eat, you know, drinks, Gatorades, smoothies, things like that, guys. Because the plan was that I was gonna use the rest of what I had, and yes, I did have a little piece left over I brought with me. The plan was that I was gonna use the rest of that and start the withdrawal process right after that. I remember telling my mom this, that I was gonna be using the rest of what I had, and that I was gonna go into the bathroom, you know what I mean, and pretty much just get rid of it. So I go into the bathroom, close and lock the door as always. I remember I sat down, put the toilet seat cover down, sat down on the toilet, and I bust out the piece of foil, have it on the ground, I'm laying it out, I'm flattening it out perfectly. I remember throwing that little piece of dope I had left down on the foil. I put the tutor in my mouth, and I'm getting ready to take a hit, and as I'm about to do that, I remember pausing and thinking to myself, you know, as if I'm almost like reminiscing on all of the times that have passed, you know, on all of the different times that I've used, all the different times that this stuff has made me feel very good, and realizing that this is the last time that I'm ever gonna get high. And so I proceed to smoke that little piece of dope until it was all gone. I remember throwing everything away, flushing it all down the toilet, getting rid of everything, and walking out of that bathroom. And when I did, I remember just not feeling fully satisfied. Just like I said, I didn't get to freaking fully spend that time with the love of my life for the very last time. My mom's face when I walked out of that bathroom, I'll never forget, because she had a look of just disgust, anger, all types of different emotions, but I just gave her that nod like that was it, you know, this was the last time. The high that I had got from smoking what I had left in that bathroom was already starting to wear off, alright? Already starting to feel the withdrawal starting to kick in. Because like I said, you know, during that time, my tolerance was extremely high. I was smoking 2 grams a day, and what I had just smoked in that bathroom was barely 0.1. And so here we are on day 0, and the withdrawals are already starting to begin. By midnight, my withdrawals were at a 6 out of 10 on the intensity scale, and I did not get a lick of sleep that entire night. So I'm laying on my mom's couch, that's where I was to sleep at for the night, and I just could not get comfortable at all. You know, I couldn't do it. I was tossing and turning, rolling around, doing all of this. And as hard as it is to admit, what I did was I eventually crawled into the bed with my own mother, because she actually had a real bed, not a couch. And so it was a lot more comfortable. So I decided that's what I was gonna do, and so that's exactly what I did. I crawled into the bed and laid next to with my mother. She ended up putting a heating blanket over me because I'm like shivering cold. You know, the withdrawals are really starting to set in. And I remember the restlessness was getting so bad, my skin was crawling, I couldn't sit still, I just couldn't stop moving, that I remember asking my mom, begging her honestly, to give me a back massage, because my muscles like on my back and just really throughout my entire body were out of control, spasming, and everything was just in pain. You know, my muscles were cramped, it was horrible. She even stayed awake with me through that whole night, keeping me company through all of the agony, through all of that hell that I was going through. And not to mention, my mom had actually ended up taking off days from work, you know, losing money, losing hours off her paycheck to take care of me, to stay home and be able to take care of all this. So deep down, you know, I really knew that there was no going back at this point. Like, my mom has way too much invested in this, in this whole process already. It's taken off work, stayed up with me all damn night, giving me a back massage. We went out and bought all these groceries. Like, there's no going back. I have to go through with this. So I make it through the night, and the next morning rolls around, and my withdrawals, I am telling you, were at a 10 out of 10 on the intensity scale. It was bad, okay? The worst I had ever felt. And I don't know if anyone else will relate to this, but during that time, or just any time I was going through real hard withdrawals, for some reason, I would always get this strange depression that would kick in, right? And what it would do, it's like I would always reminisce on all of the things that would remind me of dope. So like things that people, you know, like things, places, like the people, places, things type of thing, it would always bring up in my mind, and I would feel like I missed it, or like I was missing somebody. You know, it's like I literally lost a friend. I remember just having tears running down my face, snot running out of my nose, and my entire body just felt completely shot. By that afternoon, my motivated state of mind had completely deteriorated. I went from being gung-ho, ready to cold turkey off of 2 grams of heroin per day, to being brought right back down to my knees, ready to dip the fuck out of that house, call up my dude, and pick up immediately. Boom! Literally, that quickly. And now, you know, I was at the point to where I had no money, I had no means of making money, and really the only way I was ever gonna go pick up was if I went and stole something or really did some illegal shit to go ahead and get some money to pick up with. I was seriously at that point, you know, just so close from making that decision. But thank God my conscience kicked in, and it really made me think about all of the shit my mom's got invested in this moment, all of the things that my mom did for me last night, massaged my back, stayed up with me throughout all of the agony. There was no going back. I couldn't do it to her anymore. I felt like I needed to do this for the both of us at this point. But like I said, you know, I was so ready to just boom, dip out of that house and go use. I'm telling you, it took absolutely everything out of me to say no and to not actually go through with it, because literally every single time beforehand, that is exactly what the fuck I would have done. Choosing to use at this point for me meant volunteering to be homeless. But, you know, unfortunately, that junkie side of my brain thought, hey, fuck it, you know, if it meant one more high, let's do it. And it was at that very moment that I decided that I was going to get onto the Suboxone program. So during this insane craving that I was having, my mom, she wasn't even home at the time. She was actually at the store. And so I give my mom a call right away. I call her up while she's at the store, and, you know, I explain to her exactly what's going on, exactly how I'm feeling, and exactly what I'm planning to do if something doesn't happen, essentially, right? So I tell her, hey mom, you know, I'm about to go run out, I'm about to go use, I want to get onto the Suboxone program. You see guys, because all the way up until this point, I never really wanted to get onto the sub program. I won't lie. I saw it as something bad. I saw it with the stigma attached, and I really just saw it as something like I was giving up one drug and picking up another. But honestly, I'll tell you right now, that's completely wrong. I had to really sit back and take a look at the bigger picture of what was going on. What's better? Continuing to use, destroying my life, hurting my mother and hurting everyone else around me that loves and cares about me? Or number 2, get onto the sub program, improve your life, be able to stabilize, don't feel withdrawal all day, every day, and actually be able to focus on what you need to do to get well and actually, you know, improve your life. At this point, that decision couldn't have been any easier, and so that is exactly what I chose to do. Get onto the sub program. So my mom, she gets home from the store, and I remember she gave me a call. She didn't even come back into the house. She was just like, gave me a call and told me to go out there and just hop in the car, and we're going right away, you know? So that's exactly what we did. So we're driving, and we're on our way to the VA hospital, to the VA mental health clinic. And by the time we get there, it's probably about 12 p.m. or 1 p.m., somewhere around that time range. So we walk into the VA mental health clinic, and we get up to the front desk. And mind you, I was in such severe withdrawal. I could barely even sit still. And because I came in as a walk-in, of course that meant that we were gonna have to wait. So there we were, sitting in the waiting room at the VA mental health clinic. These dudes must have been on their lunch break or some bullshit, because it literally took an hour and a half before they called us back. During that hour and a half, I was so shitty that I literally couldn't even sit still in the chair that I was sitting in. I couldn't sit in the chair, I'm rocking back and forth, and I eventually decide that I'm just gonna lay on the damn cold, hard ground because I can't get comfortable fucking anywhere. And then finally, guys, I hear my name get called. Newman! So we get up and they walk us back to one of the exam rooms. And once we get into that room, they began to ask me a bunch of questions. You know, all the questions they ask. The whole 9 yards. What do you use? What are you here for? How much do you use? All that kind of stuff. I end up telling them, you know, I'm using heroin, unfortunately, and I'm using about 2 grams a day. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in this fucking chair rocking back and forth because I can't sit still. And check this out. You're never gonna believe it. They hit me with the old, we only do sub-inductions on a Monday. Well, guess what, guys? You know what day it was? Fucking Wednesday. Yes, that is correct. You heard me right. They are literally telling me that I have to wait almost an entire week before they're even gonna do anything about me. Before they're ever gonna do anything. Right then and there, guys, I knew it. I wasn't getting any help. I knew I wasn't gonna feel any better. I wasn't getting any relief. And that the withdrawals were just gonna get worse and worse and worse. And so, right then and there, I was down to just dip out. I'm ready to leave, you know what I mean? Because nothing's gonna happen here. And during all of the questioning, every time the nurses would ask me a question, I would respond back by basically yelling and screaming at them because of how shitty I felt. You know, I felt so bad, I couldn't even like talk to them correctly. And whenever I did say something shitty like that, immediately I'd turn around and be all like, oh, I'm so sorry, so sorry. You know, I didn't mean to say all that, I just feel like shit. And finally, after the nurses were done with all of their questioning and all that, they bring in the doctor, and you know, the doctor, he comes in the room and all that. But unfortunately for me, this doctor was not the sub doctor. This was just some regular, you know, walk-in clinic doctor that would take in random people for the walk-in clinic. But so he comes in the room, like I said, the nurses, you know, they brief him on what's going on, and he sits down at his desk, right? And he takes a very long look at me. He's just staring at me. Tears and snot running out of my face. I'm drenched in sweat. I looked like a wreck. My mom is literally sitting right there next to me. And the doctor looks at her and goes, you know what, ma'am? You're probably gonna need to take him somewhere after this. Meaning to go and take me to go meet my dude so that way I could pick up. I couldn't even believe it, guys. I was at this doctor's office trying to get help, and they're literally telling me and my mom that she's gonna have to go and have me meet Gordo basically to get me well so that way I can make it until Monday. And I remember this dude literally saying, you know, if you're gonna use before you come back here on Monday, just don't do a lot. Great advice, dog. Don't do a lot. And let me tell you guys, my mom looked absolutely horrified. Then they just tell me to make sure that on Monday, that whenever I come in for that appointment, that I'm 24 hours clean from my last opioid use. And that was it, guys. Just like that, they literally let me walk out of those doors in full-blown withdrawal with my mom about to go take me to go meet Gordo. And obviously that was yet another very silent car ride, as you could imagine, because my mom is over here with her mind just racing after what she heard from this doctor. And of course, you know, I felt bad about the situation, but the number one thing at that time on my mind was just to get well, man, feel good again. I wasn't about to literally let my mom go and drive me to actually meet Gordo, like literally take me there. So what I ended up doing was I asked her for the money. I asked her to just give me the cash, drop me off to where my car's at, and I'll just go do it from there. She ends up handing me 20 bucks, guys. And, you know, unfortunately, like at the time, I'm looking at this 20 bucks like only $20 because, you know, my tolerance, it's sky high. Like I'm doing 2 grams a fucking day, okay? And so $20 is gonna barely get me 0.2 out here. It's just not enough, all right? And so I knew this. My car was parked right outside of my dad's house, you know, right where I left it the day prior. And what did I do when I got to my dad's house? The only thing a true junkie would, and that was going into my dad's place, going into my room at my dad's place, picking up my laptop, which was my brand new MacBook Pro at the time, the very same laptop that I used to run this YouTube channel. So I grabbed it. I grabbed that laptop with the full intention of pawning that son of a bitch so that way I'd have more than 20 bucks to get well with. So I hop in my car and I'm getting ready to call my guy. I turn the car on, I hit the gas, and I start driving. And man, I was a complete wreck during this time. It hurt so bad I could barely even turn the steering wheel. So he answers the phone, and you wanna know what he says? He told me, "You're gonna have to turn into part 2 to find out." The end, everybody. Thank you all for watching. That was part 1 of my story time of how I got clean. How did I actually pull it off? What was the process of what it went through? And so yes, I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm gonna be coming out with part 2 to really finish this one off. Don't forget to hit the like button before you leave. Leave some comments down below letting me know what you guys thought about the story. And don't forget to hit that post notification bell. Switch it to all, that way you get notified of every single video as soon as it drops. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys, if you have not yet already. Thank you all for watching, and peace out.
Now I'm in the game, I was on the bench. First I was renting, now I'm collecting rent. First it with the Beamer, now I want the Benz. Spending all the bag like here I go again. Outside says the chirp, now the camera phone. Told you I'ma keep the channels on. Why you acting different when the camera's on? Why you acting different like your paper long? 8-day wake up and I thank God. Bad decision got you wishing you could say nah. My city gritty, you could get hit any day now. On my mama, I'ma move my family way out. With some 20s, 50s, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, zillions. I'm talking Amazon money, talking so much money I could mess around and buy Amazon.